a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. Four deep behind Stuart Kenton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing? Just watched back-to-back Talladega Wreckfest. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Those were... it was Talladega. I mean, that's one way to put it. But what was it? What was it? The track president, what did he say in that one tweet? He said, oh, if the way Tate Fogelman's truck, all destroyed and stuff, the way that thing looked after the race, that's how every truck should look after Talladega. Isn't that how he said it? Something like that. It's a little crazy. It's a little nutty. It's a little on the nose, but yeah, that's what both races ultimately turned into. Honestly, calling the Xfinity race for darkness probably spared a few more, pieces of sheet metal from getting tore up the way this afternoon seemed to go. But how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you all enjoyed that. 2 first-time winners today. How about that? 2. Tate Fogelman. Who saw that coming? That's two of the last 3 fall Talladega truck races that have been won by Young's Motorsports. What the heck? That's probably the most random stat I've seen all day tonight. I've seen some goofy stats, that's for sure. But how about that? The 12 truck getting it done, sliding across the finish line. That's the second NASCAR race in like 3 weeks that's had the winner crash across the finish line. Yeah, it's an alarming trend, but an entertaining trend, I will admit. I hope everyone's doing good. We're going to talk a little bit about the truck race, the Xfinity race. Really, we're just going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm keeping very close tabs on the chat tonight. I've got them, you guys literally right in front of me, popped out and everything. I also got some super chats. Let's see what you guys are talking about here to start. Thank you, David Mills. I can't imagine Junior liked being the lead announcer watching Mayer and Noah going headfirst into the wall. Congrats to the first-time winners. Yeah, both of those wrecks were, especially the Gregson wreck, both of those wrecks, though, were jarring to watch, from home. Gregson's especially, it looked really violent the way he first went head on into the turn 3 wall. The replays made it look a little better, I think. Like I thought the back wheels came completely off the ground for longer. It looks like maybe they briefly left the ground. Still a huge hit. You saw the front end of that thing was completely demolished, and then he got T-boned like 2 more times. So still a huge impact for Gregson. I was shocked that he got out and walked away so quickly. But both Sam Mayer and Noah, yeah. I imagine Dale Jr. wasn't having fun with that. Saw dollar signs and also concern for the safety of his drivers, absolutely. Especially both of them were running up near the front. Mayer was in the lead pack when he got caught up in a wreck. Poor Sam Mayer. Speaking of goofy stats that are sort of sad, I was looking. He's made 13 Xfinity starts this year. I'm talking about Sam Mayer. He's finished 30th or worse now in 6 of them, I believe. 30th or worse. He's been caught up in a lot of wrecks. He's maybe been somewhat responsible for some of the incidents. He's had a lot of things go wrong early in his NASCAR Xfinity Series career. He'll be full-time in that car next year. Hopefully there's improvement. Hopefully this trend of DNFs does not continue. Keeping up with some super chats here. Thank you, Steven Gibson. Fogelman did a chicken move wrecking John Hunter for the win. That's just my opinion. We can talk about the truck finish a little bit here in a second, because, I do think he wrecked Nemechek more than Nemechek wrecked himself, as some people said. But thank you, Isaac. Is it time to mandate all tracks install lights? Usually Talladega doesn't need lights, but in a day like today where they scheduled 2 races both fairly late in the afternoon, the Xfinity race, or the truck race, didn't start until, I think, 1 or 1:30, about 1:30 Talladega time. Or no, are they on Central Time? I don't know. Either way, it started a little late. They could have started it close to an hour earlier, I think, and it would have been much better. Thank you, Daniel, for the 5. I really appreciate that. Mickey Mouse would have loved these 2 such manufactured wins, a dump-in win and a win by darkness. Maybe Goofy shows up tomorrow, noon or lights. Oh, that's a good comment right there. That's funny. I'm with you. Should have started the races a little bit earlier. Even half an hour earlier, and you probably don't. I mean, there were a lot of red flags in both races, so to be fair, they both went outside their TV window slightly, but it's Talladega. You got to account for some of that. Thank you, Bigfoot. This means Matty D wins tomorrow. Not entirely sure where that comes from. I mean, that would be a surprising win. I guess if you're saying continuing the trend of first-time winners, then yes, Matt DiBenedetto could win tomorrow. Thank you, Sif, I hope I said that right. First-time winner, that's not DiBenedetto. Who? Everyone's already talking about Matt DiBenedetto. See what I mean? I talk about Matt DiBenedetto a lot in my videos, even when there's not a lot of new news to talk about, because I'm telling you, I'm not lying. Most of the questions I get are from Matt DiBenedetto fans wanting to know if he's going to win, where he's going to go next year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not just pulling things out of my booty to talk about on the show. No, we're talking about Matt DiBenedetto because y'all are talking about Matt DiBenedetto. I think he's one of the favorites to get his first win tomorrow. Keep an eye out on guys like Justin. Isn't it Justin Allgaier in the 77? I think that'll be interesting, but we can talk about that. Thank you, Mike Sargent. I appreciate the super chat. And thank you, Scott McNew. Always good to see you. Hope you're having a good day, Eric. Always great to catch your streams. Well, thank you so much, Scott. Always good to see you as well. I need you to fact check me in case I get anything wrong tonight. Thank you for being here. But let's go back to that super chat from Steven talking about Tate Fogelman's win on the final lap, the final front straightaway, honestly. A lot happened. I don't have any replays. I'm not able to play any replays and pull them up for you guys, but you've all seen the races. You've probably all seen the clips and replays of the finish by now. But the finish of the truck race was chaotic. I know that word is completely overused, but I think it perfectly illustrates what went down in the final stretch of that Truck Series race. You had drivers bobbing, weaving. You had a wreck in the back or you had one car, I think, off the pace or wrecked in the back that, they stayed green for. And then coming to the checkers, I thought John Hunter Nemechek made the move to get the win. And then somehow, someway, Tate Fogelman went to the outside. Nemechek went up. Then he went low and looked like maybe his left front dipped slightly below the double yellow line. I say looked like. His splitter absolutely was below the double yellow line for a brief instant, but it's arguable whether or not he was in the process of making the pass. It looked to me like he was next to John Hunter Nemechek when his left front dipped below the double yellow line, so I'm a little surprised that wasn't a bigger controversy than it was. In fact, it wasn't a controversy at all. The broadcast didn't seem to even acknowledge it happened, and I noticed people on social media seem to not be talking about it. But pretty clearly, his left front splitter or side skirt, whatever it was below the double yellow line as he was making his move to pass John Hunter Nemechek. So I thought that would be a little controversial, but it really wasn't. And then from there, it looked like he shot up kind of up the track. Nemechek came down a tiny bit, so I do blame Fogelman for wrecking Nemechek more than I blame Nemechek for coming down. But Nemechek did come down a little bit. I think both drivers share some of the blame. So it is just Talladega. It's the final 200 yards. It is what it is. Crazy things happen sometimes. I'm not going to hold that over either driver too heavily, given all the other shenanigans we saw in the truck race and later in the Xfinity race. But I don't know. I noticed even in the chat, nobody's talking about him just dipping his side skirt below the WL line. Am I the only one who saw it? Am I the only one? I'm just, after last year's controversy with Denny Hamlin and years past with guys like Regan Smith being forced below the WO line and getting a win taken away. Who was it? Was it Haley? Who was... Oh, there's a few examples. I've seen it in the past where drivers' side skirt or splitter barely dips below the WO line and they've been penalized for it, which is why I was a little surprised that there was no really no controversy, no even discussion about Tate Fogelman seemingly going below the double yellow line as he was passing John Hunter Nemechek. So I don't know. It's going to come up in tomorrow's Cup race. I almost guarantee it. It's probably going to come up, and we're going to look at today and say, hey, this set the tone. This set the example. And yeah, Justin Haley, I was trying to remember the year, 2018 Daytona. I think that's right. That sounds right. Justin Haley in 2018 at Daytona just barely dipped below the yellow line. They penalized him for that. Didn't even talk about it with Tate Fogelman today. I don't mean to take anything away from Fogelman. He did a really good job overall, I thought, of sort of not suckering is maybe the wrong word, but forcing Nemechek to move up high and then, darting, crossing him over and going to the inside. He set it up perfectly. And Nemechek came down a little bit. Yeah, he came up, but, Nemechek came down. Fogelman set that up really well. Shame that he tore up his truck in the process and other trucks in the process, but he absolutely was, he was going for it. I thought he was going for it, and I thought it was a solid move overall, even though they made contact and wrecked. But I was surprised there was not as much controversy there as I don't know, I guess I thought there would be. I thought there'd be almost as much discussion as the Denny Hamlin no call last fall. Thank you, Scott, for the 10. I really appreciate the support. Scott, make me really appreciate it. In my opinion, they should have started the truck race an hour earlier. It would have avoided darkness conflict. Plus, for FS1, it would have avoided the college football conflict. Yeah, let me talk about that for a second, because the end of the race was obviously chaotic. It was an all-time classic NASCAR Talladega finish, especially Truck Series Talladega finish. And unfortunately, the finish was kind of, I'm not going to say ruined, because we still had the replay of the finish itself, the action on track itself, and that was a spectacle, but it was soured, I'd say. The mood was dampened by FS1's, TV window. The way they scheduled things, they gave the Truck Series a hard 2-hour time window that started at, I think, 12:30 Central, ended at 2:30 Central. The race ended at like 2:35, so they went slightly outside their TV window, and they were backed up right against like Boise State versus someone else, some random college football game. I say random, I'm sure a lot of people were wanting to tune in to see the college football game, so I shouldn't downplay the importance of a, college football game necessarily, but FS1 put themselves in a box by scheduling the Truck Series and a college football game back to back, right on top of each other like this, and especially a Talladega Truck Series race, which, let's just be honest, are known for red flags, are known for running a little long. They should have started the truck race an hour early. Maybe they didn't need to, but 30 minutes early, they absolutely should have. And the reason I'm going after FS1 and Fox on this is because we all know the networks largely determine the start times for these races. NASCAR has a say, sure. The tracks, I'm sure, have a say, but it's largely the networks. I think they have the most pull in this respect. And FS1 scheduling a truck race at Talladega right up against let's just be honest, not the most important, not the most highly anticipated college football game in the world, was a mistake. And as a result, because the race ran just a few minutes long, about 5 minutes past its designated TV window, they had time to interview like Matt Crafton, John Hunter Nemechek, playoff drivers, I get it. They didn't get a chance to interview the winner, Tate Fogelman, a guy who just won his first ever Truck Series race in stupendous, spectacular fashion. One of the most dramatic Talladega finishes in recent memory. And that's saying something, because this is Talladega. And FS1 did not interview him on national television. And to defend Fox a little bit, he did wreck, and so he was forced to go into the infield care center. He was forced into the ambulance, so they were going to have to wait about 10 or 15 minutes to get to speak to him. So I understand. They couldn't talk to him right then and there on the front stretch. They were going to be forced to wait a little bit. But didn't stop NBCSN from waiting to interview AJ Allmendinger a couple weeks ago at Bristol. They waited the 10 or 15 minutes, and actually, I was keeping a close eye on the timestamps. The race ended at about, I'm in Central Time, the race ended at about 2:35 Central Time, or maybe just before that. They went off the air, like they did their interviews and everything, they showed the replays, they went off the air at 2:40 Central Time, and I saw on Twitter, I think it was Jeff Gluck, or a few people were posting clips and photos of the interview with Tate Fogelman from the Infield Care Center. That happened at about 2:46. So we're talking about 6 minutes, roughly. They couldn't have waited 6 minutes to cut to a 0-0 college football game that was still in the first quarter. They couldn't have waited 6 minutes. 6 minutes to speak to a driver who just won his first ever NASCAR race in dramatic, spectacular fashion. To me, that's a huge blight against FS1. It's clear Fox Sports does not care that much about the Truck Series, if you ask me. I feel like they're kind of just going through the motions with the trucks. You'll notice the last couple weeks, and actually may even be longer than that. I've been at the track a lot the last few weeks, so I may have missed some, but at least the last couple weeks, Vince Welsh, Kurt Busch, Michael Waltrip, they haven't even been at the track. They've been calling the race from the Charlotte studio. They're not even bringing the broadcast team to the racetrack. They're bringing the pit reporters like Jamie Little and friends. They're bringing all them to the track, of course, because they need them on pit road. They can't cut that corner. At least they have some standard. But they're not even willing to bring the main broadcast booth to the racetrack. They're having them call the race remotely. To me, that just says that FS1 Fox, they just don't really value the truck series. They're skipping, they're cutting costs. I understand times are tough for a lot of businesses. They got to cut costs here and there, but boy, does it affect the quality of the broadcast, especially when they then cut away before we even get a chance to talk to the winner. Just a lot of missteps from Fox, and I think it almost solely lies on their scheduling team, their production team, whoever the big picture decision makers are over at Fox Sports. That's who's to blame for it. Not that directly the NASCAR on Fox team. I don't think they're to blame for it. I don't think the folks working in the truck at FS1, like at the racetrack, I don't think anyone on pit road or in the booth, I don't think they're to blame for today's issue. It's executives at Fox that cover all of Fox Sports, not just NASCAR on Fox. They're the ones who dropped the ball today and have dropped the ball many times this season, unfortunately. So a bit bummed about that. Let me catch back up on some super chats. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well. I see you guys are actually offering a lot of interesting insight, but I'll get to that in just a moment. Thank you, Edible Giraffe. Matt Crafton looks like a thick Matt DiBenedetto. Oh, that's kind of true. Actually, I can kind of see some of the resemblance. Sure. Let's see. From Alex Vivieres, thank you. I like the racing gods to give luck to Zane and Sam, please. Zane Smith, of course, caught up in a wreck. Sam Mayer, I didn't think that was really his fault. It looked like it was actually Brandon Brown, I believe, who kind of was squeezing into a four-wide situation at the end of was that stage 1 or stage 2? Oh gosh, now I don't even remember. But it was early in the race, regardless. Stage 2 ended on lap 50 out of 113. So it was still early in the race, regardless. I thought whoever it was, I think it was Brandon Brown, maybe trying to put his nose somewhere it didn't belong that early in the race. But also Mayer came down. It looked like, I think Brett Moffitt was on the inside of 4 wide. Maybe he stuck it in there last second and kind of jacked everything up. It seemed like an avoidable wreck. Took out Sam Mayer and AJ Allmendinger. So bad luck for Sam. I mentioned earlier that Sam Mayer has, I think, 6 finishes outside the top 30 this season in 13 starts. That's terrible, but in fairness to Sam Mayer, a lot of the incidents have not directly been his fault, kind of like today. Thank you, Jaden, for the $1. I really appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the support. Thank you, David Mills, another one. NASCAR inconsistencies isn't anything new. It's honestly kind of comedic at this point. They penalize when they feel like it, all in entertainment. I think all in entertainment, that encompasses it a little too broadly. I would say they definitely try to read the room during the race. Like, you'll see it even today. I don't remember exactly, but late in this race, there was a spin. Or no, it was a Jeffrey Earnhardt cut a tire and hit the wall and was able to kind of limp it to pit road. That was a caution in the, was it the truck race? Wait, now, where was it? Yeah, truck race when Chase Purdy spun himself through the tri-oval. They threw the caution really quick for that because they wanted to set up an overtime restart. So that was, I think, NASCAR reading the room and thinking, we want an overtime restart. We want this finish to end under green. We don't want to end it under yellow. And so they threw the caution kind of quick. Versus the Xfinity race, I think they liked the flow. And you think they knew they were backed up against daylight, against the darkness. And so they left it green when Jeffrey Earnhardt slapped the wall and spun out. So definitely, I think NASCAR tries to read the room a little bit when making some of these calls. But you're right about inconsistencies, especially when it comes to officiating things like the double yellow line rule. There are countless YouTube videos out there that do a pretty good job of illustrating their inconsistencies over the past 10 or 15 years. Trying to drink water with the cap still on. That's something. I'm talking really fast, I feel like. Thank you, Scott McNew. They need to get trucks off FS1 ASAP. It's a shame that they, I say it's a shame. It is a shame. It's a shame that they have they carry all the races, all 22, all 23 races. I think it's a shame. So NASCAR rigs the races? No, not. If NASCAR rigged races, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have won a championship. I mean, NASCAR literally docked him how many points did they dock him in 2004 for cursing on TV? I mean, that arguably cost him, it didn't directly cost him the championship, but that hurt his championship efforts. 2004 was like Dale Jr.'s best season, so let's just be honest. NASCAR's not rigging races. They're not rigging races, but they do attempt to interfere in the way races play out, in the sense that, I want to restart here. I don't want to restart here. They're not sitting there like, I want this restart because I want to give, Kyle Busch a chance to win the race. No, I think they're thinking, I want to restart right here because we want to see 4-wide racing, and that's what the fans want, blah, blah, blah. I think sometimes they do take it a little too far in that department, but they're not rigging races for specific drivers. That's That is not a thing that happens. Thank you, Alex, for the super chat. If that was a popular driver, they would have waited that time. Second, Jennifer Joe, that was very dangerous to not slow down during a wreck. Yeah, that one big wreck in the truck race, I think it was the first big wreck. Jennifer Joe Cobb came scooting on in there way late and plowed into, was it Parker Kligerman, stuck in the grass? Yeah, definitely not a good look. I saw a lot of people criticizing that move, fairly, correctly so, I think. Definitely seemed like, I hope for her sake she had an actual brake failure or something, but I doubt it. I tend to doubt that. She's been around a while, so maybe she did have a mechanical issue. That did seem a little out of character to just go flying. Yeah, lights at Talladega would be very expensive. That is true. Yeah, they throw cautions to keep cars bunched up. I do believe they do that from time to time. I think it's clear. They did it this year at the Daytona Road Course, and I called them out for it then. It was pretty clear. The race was decent at the time, and they threw that caution because I think they thought it was too strung out, and they wanted a late race restart. Any thoughts on Emp Lemon's Talladega video? I thought it was very, very good. He's done 3 or 4 now NASCAR-related videos, and I think I talked to him. I got to meet him at Daytona. Actually, it was really cool to meet Emp Lemon when we were there with a bunch of other YouTubers. Got to say hi to him, and I didn't realize he is a big NASCAR fan. He's been to a lot of races. He's watches a lot of races on TV. He keeps up with the sport very consistently. And so seeing his videos, I mean, I'd watched some of his videos years ago. I knew who Emp Lemon was. Of course, dude's got like almost 1 million subscribers, I believe. And the fact that he's dabbling in NASCAR content, I love it. I think it's great because he's approaching it, or he's doing a good job at presenting NASCAR and different NASCAR topics in an interesting way to a casual audience. Think about it. Emp Lemon's audience, very few NASCAR fans in it, if I had to imagine. But he's doing a fantastic job of presenting NASCAR in an interesting way to people who otherwise would not care about it. So I'm a huge fan of what he's doing because his videos, his Dale Earnhardt video from a year or two ago has a couple million views. I know his video about payback and things like that has at least 1 million or 2 views. His video from this week's, I'm sure, is popping off. I love it. Anything that presents some of NASCAR's most interesting and coolest stories to new audiences and gets them interested. I'm a huge fan of it. I love what Emp Lemon's doing. Yeah, it's awesome that he's using his massive mass appeal and platform to make NASCAR look cool. He didn't have to do that. I don't think he's like collaborating with NASCAR. I think he's just doing it because he loves NASCAR and wants to talk about it. He thinks it's interesting. I think he was also, I know he's a fan of Slap Shoes' videos as well. And I think you can see the influences there. Of course, Slap does very good history videos from time to time. So next week's guest, I don't know if do we have a guest lined up for next week? I think we're working on one. We'd like to get Emp Lemon on the show. See if that's possible. Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate the super chat. Hey, Eric, it's been a while since I last commented. I stopped commenting because of all the Harvick haters on your channel. I'm going to COTA 2022. The chat's been better lately, but yeah, you guys got to stop with the Harvick hate. The chat's usually just memeing. I don't think they mean it, Alan. But thank you for the support, and I will hopefully be at COTA as well next year. I'm very excited that Circuit of the Americas is back on the schedule. I'm hoping it's a little drier next year than this year, which was very, 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 very moist. Very moist. See, another comment. I'm seeing more comments. Tate Fogelman and Brandon Jones today, so maybe Matt DiBenedetto tomorrow. There's a lot of Matt DiBenedetto fans. I feel like there's a higher proportion of Matt DiBenedetto fans who watch my videos than actually are Matt DiBenedetto fans, like compared to the entire NASCAR fan base. Like there's a higher rate of Matt DiBenedetto fans watching my videos. It feels like people love Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, he's a good dude. He seems like a very nice guy. Decent driver. Hope he gets an opportunity next year in something decent. So. Will you go to the Miami F1 race? No, I will not be at the Miami F1 race. Unless something dramatic changes. But I'm not planning to be there. I've heard, who was it? Who was telling me? I think Jarrett or somebody was telling me. I think it was Darian maybe. No, it was Darian was telling me like, I don't know. He looked into it and it was like, they required like a massive deposit. And I thought like, I don't even know if tickets are for sale. So I think it's like to like secure your tickets, they require like a really expensive deposit, which I guess you'd get back. But like, I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird, the system. I'm not familiar with buying like highly in demand tickets like that. Like I'm never like one of those people waiting at midnight for concert tickets to go on sale, so I'm not super familiar with the ticket buying process. But I know F1 races, at least from what I can tell, are very exclusive, are quite expensive. So DiBenedetto is trash. All right, I wouldn't go that far. Let's go crazy. Matt DiBenedetto was cool when he drove the 83. Now he's just cringe. He's, I mean, I could maybe see that a little. He kind of gives off like goofy uncle vibes sometimes, so I'm not totally opposed to that. But oh, he's not trash. Goodness gracious, what are y'all doing? Thank you, Sif or Sif. I genuinely don't know how to say her name, so I'm very sorry. You inspired me to do out of the groove type videos. Awesome. I'll have to check them out. Got to keep those hot takes hot and to keep the interest. That's awesome stuff. Well, I'm honored. Hope it's going well for you. Thank you, Edible Giraffe. Wait, does Harvick actually have more haters than Logano, or am I crazy? Logano haters, I think, have gotten quieter. Same as like Brad Keselowski haters. 5 years ago, Keselowski and Logano were easily, they were close to Kyle Busch level of booze, at driver intros. Now I think Kyle Busch is once again kind of in his own tier. I think it's like Kyle Busch, and then it's like Logano. And then you got like Keselowski, Hamlin will get some booze, Harvick will get a few booze in there. Who am I forgetting? Someone else gets some booze. And then it's kind of that little mix. And then, at the bottom are the, Chase Elliott's and Kyle Larson's. They get mostly cheers these days. Really everyone at Hendrick gets largely cheers. I was joking with somebody. I think we were joking about this on the podcast. Maybe this was before the show last week. I don't remember if y'all heard this, but we were joking about how it's kind of a shame that so many of the top drivers in the Cup Series get booed. Like when you go to a race and you go sit there for driver intros, they usually, start with 40th place, starting 40th, David Starr, 39th, Joey Gase, and then they get down to, starting third, Kyle Larson, starting second, Kevin Harvick, But it's funny, once they get to like that top five and they get to the Harvicks, the Hamlins, the Kyle Bushes usually, it's like most of the big names in NASCAR, there are more boos than cheers, Like Chase Elliott will get cheers, Larson will get cheers, but Kyle Busch, boo. Logano, boo. Keselowski, boo. Hamlin, boo. Harvick, boo. It's kind of sad that so many of the biggest stars in NASCAR are getting major boos, or at least a scattering of boos during driver intros. I just think it's kind of sad. I mean, it's fun. Fans are having fun with it. It's not, I think nobody should take cheers and boos that seriously. Who was it? Was it Austin Cindric got cheered and booed in the same interview at Bristol a few weeks ago? So you can't take the crowds that seriously. But I just think it's funny. Funny in kind of a sad way, I guess. Thank you, Alex. Also, Grant Enfinger going to the GMS 23 truck is a steal. I agree. I feel bad because I did my video this morning. If you haven't seen it, check it out after the live stream. But I talked about the GMS news that they're signing Grant Enfinger to a 2-year deal to drive their trucks next year. And I said in my video, it's a great move. He's a veteran. He's going to teach these young kids. He's going to be a great mentor. He's going to kind of shore up their whole program. He's going to lead them statistically next year. And then he goes out this afternoon and, he put that kind of rookie block on Sheldon Creed, which I don't know why Sheldon Creed was trying to take him 3 wide around the outside. I don't know what he thought was going to happen there, but Grant Enfinger set off the wreck by making a late block. So of course he goes out there and makes a rookie mistake. I was like, Enfinger, why? He's usually better than that. No, Grant Enfinger, I'm glad to see him getting a full-time competitive truck series ride. I think it's good for him and also going to be good for GMS overall next season. I see people saying Uncle Matt DiBenedetto in the chat. I hope that catches on. Thank you, David. I appreciate the super chat. Hey, Eric, where can I get one of those out of the groove polos that you wore at Vegas last week? And did you ask Jeremy for the piece of the car with the logo? Thanks for the super chat, David. Right now, we only made like 4 or 5 of those polos and gave like one to me and a couple others to I think Danny might have one. Some of the podcast guys have those polos. We only made like a few of them. So no, unfortunately, they're not for sale. But if there's interest in Out of the Groove podcast polo shirts, maybe we will find a way to mass produce them and sell some. I don't know. Maybe we will. We'll consider that. I'm glad you thought it looked good. I didn't design them. Well, I mean, I guess I kind of helped design the logo, of course, but no, I thought it looked good. And then as for, did you ask Jeremy for the piece of the car with your logo on it? No, I didn't ask. I don't. Well, partially, the front end of the car was pretty heavily damaged. Like, absolutely. They were cutting pieces off that. I went over to the garage after they wrecked in that race and kind of watched them sort of take some of the cars, put take the car apart, cut some pieces off, and start packing things up. And I felt bad. I didn't want to ask. For them to cut my logo out. One, I don't think it would have fit in my bag on the plane if they'd done that. So I would have had to check. I mean, I would have had to do something else with it, made it work. But two, the side of the car where my logo was, really the right side rubbed the wall. It was scratched a little. But the left side was pretty much perfectly clean. So I wasn't sure that they were even, I actually don't know what teams usually do with a lot of that scrap. I know they scrap a lot of it, but I wasn't sure if a small team like that, if they would, they might still have a way to use at least some of it. So I felt awkward asking, hey guys, I know you just wrecked out of your first playoff race, but hey, can you cut that out and give it to me? I wasn't going to do that. Come on now. Yes, we want the polos. All right, I'll let my people know and see if we can get some more of them out there. I saw a lot of very nice comments. I wore that bright orange shirt as well in a video a few days ago. And I saw a lot of people commenting on that, so maybe we'll have to get some more of those made as well. It was fun. When I was out at Darlington, I was giving away I had some leftover Out of the Groove / Jordan Anderson t-shirts that we had made a while ago. And so it was fun. So I know I have the ability to mass produce some more t-shirts. So maybe we can make some more. I don't know about selling them, but I'll definitely want to give out more shirts and stuff when I'm at the racetrack. I like having things to give fans who find me at the track. Will you do some more? When will you do some more game streams? Probably soon. NASCAR 21 Ignition comes out later this month, so I'll be playing that and streaming it for sure. Thanks for the super chat, Scrapyard. Always good to see you. Any ideas on who will replace Austin Hill in the number 16 Tundra? Surprising to me, at least, that he's not returning to that truck. I'm curious to see. It sounds like he has an Xfinity deal for next year, something lined up. I do not know what it is. I have no idea. I know he's in the past had some funding behind him, not a ton necessarily, but some. I mean, that's part of why he originally got that. So he got that 16 from Brett Moffitt, because Moffitt, I do not believe, brought any sponsorship, and Austin Hill had some. So I know he's probably got some funding, but I don't know where he's going in Xfinity. That's the real question for me. Yeah. I mean, it's with a lot of big free agents, guys like Ryan Preece and Matt DiBenedetto on the market still. I think it's curious to see who gets the 16. I thought it was interesting on the broadcast today. I think it was on the broadcast. Maybe I saw it on Twitter. Somebody said that Hattori Racing is considering 2 trucks next year, 2 full-time trucks. I hope that's the case, because they're very competitive, and I'd love to see more competitive equipment available for drivers. So maybe Matt DiBenedetto and Ryan Preece drive for Hattori next year. I don't know. I think ultimately whoever they pick is going to need to bring some funding, and I don't know that DiBenedetto or Preece, at least at the moment, have any of it. But I hope somebody gets it. I have no idea. I don't know who the front runner is, because I'm trying to think. It's a Toyota team, so is there any Toyota driver that would obviously make sense? And I'm other than Drew Dollar or Corey Heim or Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs, I don't think is going to get that. Is going to take that seat. I don't know. I don't know who gets it. It's a good question. It'd be interesting to keep an eye out. Thank you, The Real Dragon Master. Called too early. Martinsville 2015 was darker. I was there. That was another dark one. That was the one with Jeff Gordon winning. Were you there? Were you at Talladega as well? Because my friend, Jarrett, the Iceberg, was at Talladega, and I saw he sent a photo, or he tweeted a photo. And again, it's camera lens. Cameras often, even phone cameras will often sort of brighten. They'll open up the iris of the camera will open up. They'll try to make the scene look a little brighter than it is. They'll let a little more light in, so it's perhaps deceiving, but his photo made it look still maybe bright enough to run some more laps. But it sounded like most of the drivers, the guy who finished second, let me put it that way, the guy who finished second, Brandon Jones, said it was probably too dark to restart the race. He might have just been saying that because he liked where he was in points and he didn't want to put himself in any further danger. But I think it's worth knowing the guy in second would have rather end the race than have a shot at the win. So that makes me think it was fairly dark. So it's a mix. But I wasn't there in person, so I can't say for sure if it was too dark or not. I was watching on TV like most all of y'all. 2013 Talladega, yeah, that one was, I do remember thinking that one was pretty dark. Obviously New Hampshire just a few months ago was dark, and they called that one early, which was a little questionable but understandable, because Talladega is a 2.66 mile track with close quarters, dangerous racing. New Hampshire is a 1 mile track. I think darkness at Talladega is very different than darkness at New Hampshire personally, but did you play Hot Wheels Unleashed? Is that the new game? They just came out with like a Hot Wheels game that looks really cool. If it's an old game, no, I don't think I ever played a Hot Wheels game. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate the super chat. Off topic, when Logano held up Larson, the reaction was vastly different than when Elliott was holding up Harvick. Chase went 3 wide. I blamed him. Oh, we're talking about the Bristol incident again. I was, well, for the record, I was very consistent. I didn't have a big problem with Logano helping Blaney out a little bit, and I didn't have a huge problem with Chase Elliott holding up Harvick a little bit. I really didn't, because I don't think neither driver was running into the other guy, running into the leader, or brake checking them obviously, and like putting them in the wall. They weren't manhandling them. They were just running their line and making a little tougher situation for the leader to help their teammate. I don't love it. I don't love either situation. I don't love team orders like that. But in that case, neither driver willingly put themselves in that situation. Joey Logano didn't want to be the last car in the lead lap, struggling to stay on the lead lap and having a bad finish. He just ended up there at that point in the race. Same with Chase Elliott. He didn't want to be 2 laps down in 25th. I think he wanted to still be racing for the lead, which of course was taken away from him when Harvick cut his tire down. So it'd be different if, say Chase Elliott was running 8th late in that Bristol race. He was running 8th, and then he got a call over the radio, hey, we need your help to get Larson a win. And Chase Elliott intentionally backed off, fell back to 15th or 20th or whatever, and then helped Harvick. I think it'd be a little different then. That would be certainly more egregious than what happened, but Kevin Harvick was largely the reason Chase Elliott was in that position to begin with. So I didn't have a huge problem with the way Chase Elliott raced, but also I'm pretty consistent. I didn't have a huge problem with the way Logano raced Larson at the end of that Atlanta race either. So, and I didn't have a huge problem with Chastain doing what he did. Also, I think that was at Atlanta to help Kurt Busch win. Perhaps I didn't have a huge problem with that either. I think when you have a rules package like this, think about the 2 of those incidents were at 550 horsepower tracks. And when you have that kind of rules package, it's really easy to take someone's air away and slow somebody down. That's a NASCAR problem. That's not the driver's problem, in my opinion. Bristol's different, but Bristol it was more of revenge, and I didn't have a huge issue with it. Chase was 3 laps down. Yeah, because Harvick put him 3 laps down. I know. Yeah, you said Elliott went 3 wide. Wait, where was the super chat? I want to make sure I get it. Alan said Chase went 3 wide, so you blame Chase Elliott. Harvick's the one who tried to squeeze him behind a lap car. It was pretty cheeky. Chase Elliott wasn't having that late in the race, going for a playoff spot. And Elliott's not going to let you just pinch him behind a lap car. Harvick needed it. Harvick, you look at how Harvick angled himself as they were getting into the corner before Elliott even came down. Look at how Harvick's car was pointed. There was no way he was going to be able to roll right along the bottom. He was going to miss the grip strip entirely. He had committed at that point to washing up in the center of the corner because I think he thought he'd successfully trapped Elliott behind the lap car, so he was just going to slide up in front of them and ride that momentum. And I think he underestimated Chase Elliott's ability to still drive it in next to him. And, at that point, Harvick had already committed to washing up the racetrack a little bit. And, all of a sudden, oh, Chase Elliott's still there? How did he do that? And cuts his tire down. So it was an accident. It was an accident, but Harvick intentionally angled himself to make that move going into the corner. He did not mean for Chase Elliott to still be on his outside. I think he had thought he'd done a good enough job of trapping him behind the lap car. So that's what I think happened there. So it was an accident. Didn't mean to cut Chase Elliott's tire down at Bristol, but he made an aggressive move that ultimately led to Chase Elliott's tire being cut down. So I blame Harvick largely for that incident, and that's why I didn't have a huge issue with Chase Elliott going out there and kind of just being in his windshield, being on his mind, being in his way a little bit. Didn't have a huge issue with that. But again, I've been consistent. Didn't have an issue with Logano. Didn't have an issue with Chastain. So you can say I was wrong on all 3 instances, but you can't say I haven't been consistent. I'll at least say that. Thank you, the Real Dragon Master. David Hoots is needed desperately. I'm sure people had criticisms of David Hoots back in the day. At least he had that calm, comforting voice in some ways. Eric is a Chase Elliott fan. I'm wearing an Alex Bowman t-shirt. Where are we getting this from? Thank you, Lyle. Appreciate the super chat. You speaking of Drew Dollar, he just seems like a pay driver and just isn't very good. And today's races were awesome. Right call to call it early. I don't know enough about Drew Dollar. I think he's okay. I do not think he's necessarily a future star in the making. I wouldn't consider him high on the list of up-and-coming prospects, but I don't know enough about his backstory. I'm sure he has some funding behind him, but I do not know what that actually looks like, so I'm not going to speak too confidently on Drew Dollar at the moment. I got to do my research more on him, but I don't think he's a terrible driver. I don't think he's amazing either. I'm not super excited about Drew Dollar's next move Eric, why'd you change commenting? I switched it to subscribers only. I think that's the only change I made, because I noticed on streams, both my streams and some of my friends' streams in recent weeks, there have been an influx of sort of some bots and others just people trolling for the sake of trolling, and I wanted to sort of cut down on that as much as possible. But I figured most of the people who comment on my live streams are probably subscribed, so I've noticed the chat has not slowed down any today. So I appreciate you all being here and keeping the conversation flowing. All right, let me catch up on some super chats real quick. Let me see. From Nicholas Gray, good to see you. I don't think doubles should be done at Dega unless they started the truck race maybe an hour earlier. It's definitely, I'm with you there. I think they should have started at least half an hour early. I think they should have started it truly at noon Central Time. Talladega's in Central Time, isn't it? Or is it not? Is Talladega Eastern or Central Time? It's like, I know kind of where it is. It's like right on it's like right on the time zone line, right? Or is Alabama Central? Is all of Alabama Central Time? Where is Talladega Eastern Time? Whatever the case, I think they should have started it right at noon Central Time. It started at like 12:30 Central. It's Central? Okay. Chat saying it's Central. Oh, one person said Eastern. Oh no, now I don't know. Most people are saying it's Central Time. I don't know if they're just parroting what the other people are saying, but I believe it's in Central Time. They should have started it right at noon Central Time. That's when they should have green flag at 12:01 instead of like 12:25 or whenever they did it. I think then they would have had a better shot at it. Thank you, the Real Dragon Master. Appreciate all the super chats. Road America crew was cleaning the track today. I see you're taking a long time, huh? And thank you, Scott McNew, for the fact check. Yeah, Central Time Zone. I'll take your word for it, Scott. Yeah, definitely a bit slow towards the end. But in fairness to the track crew, I mean, at one of the first wrecks today actually damaged the outside wall. Sam Mayer's impact actually damaged the safer barrier. You don't see that every day. So they had a lot to clean up, in fairness to the track crew. Thank you, Sif. What do you think is the cause of the big one, or who do you think is the cause of the big one tomorrow? I think, who's still in the playoffs? Let me see. I think it's going to be a playoff driver making a desperate block late in the race. But I don't think it's going to be like a Kyle Busch. It's not going to be Hamlin. Hamlin's usually better than that. I have a feeling it will be... Dang, he's my pick to win, so I can't say that. I was going to say Brad Keselowski. I feel like he would make a mistake because he's a guy who's usually up front at Talladega, but he's also a driver who has not won much this year. His only win this year was actually at Talladega, so I feel like he'd get a little desperate, kind of like, you could argue like Harvick was at Bristol last week, or a couple weeks ago, maybe make a little over-aggressive block or an over-aggressive move and cause a wreck. But I'm not going to say Brad. Brad was so angry with Logano at Daytona. I think Brad's probably not going to. He did make a pretty big block at, I think, the first Talladega race this year. I remember a lot of people were criticizing him for it because, of what he had said about Logano's block. So Brad could do it, but I'm not going to say Brad because he's my pick to win. That would kind of be counterintuitive. I'm not going to say Stenhouse. I think Stenhouse is better than that. I was thinking Chastain or Reddick, but neither of them are in the playoffs, so I feel like they'll race with a little more respect, a little more reservation. I think it's going to be a playoff driver who causes the big one. I could say Bell, who was somewhat responsible at least for the big one in the Daytona 500. But I think he's maybe learned his lesson from that. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough question. Thank you, Alex. Who do you think gets the JGR 18 and 20? I think it's John Hunter Nemechek and Ty Gibbs. That 16 truck, I could see one of the former GMS guys get it. We'll see. Toyota's often losing prospects to other manufacturers. Maybe they, in this case, are able to sort of grab a prospect from another manufacturer. Yeah, like a young Chevy driver switches over to Toyota. I think that's possible. You never know. But who do you think gets the JGR 18 and 20? I think John Hunter Nemechek and Ty Gibbs are good choices. I actually talked to Ty Gibbs at Las Vegas last week and kind of asked him about his plans for next year. And either his poker face is really good or he genuinely doesn't sound 100% confident about what he's doing next year. It sounds like he's hoping for full-time Xfinity, but I don't think anything has been officially settled on. Again, maybe his poker face is really good, but usually the couple times I have talked to Ty Gibbs or seen him talk to other people, he seems kind of laid back and sometimes a little honest about things. But when we were talking about his plans for next season, he sounded still a little unsure. So I don't know. I think his goal is to land one of those rides. I don't know if it's going to happen. John Hunter Nemechek's a good option as well. We'll see. Thank you, Alan. If Chase doesn't go 3 wide, his tire doesn't get cut down, he might have been able to pass Harvick later, whereas going 3 wide ended his night. I mean, I'm not saying Chase Elliott going 3 wide wasn't aggressive, but Harvick, forcing him behind the lap car, pinching him behind a lap car, and then, intentionally washing up the track a little bit to try and take the outside lane away was also aggressive. So I think, both drivers were aggressive, but I think Harvick was the instigator, the slightly more instigated a little bit more than Chase Elliott did. That's my take. But you're right, Elliott was aggressive. He could have hung back, but I don't think he was happy with Harvick trying to stick him behind the 52 or whoever it was. Thank you, Scott. Oh, yeah, that's right. Central Time Zone. Caught that one already. And thank you, Groovy Goose. Thoughts on Emp Lemon's video on Talladega? I talked about it a little bit just a little while ago, but yeah, I thought it was, dang, we've been live for over 40 minutes. Time is flying by. It feels like we just started. But I was talking about it earlier. I thought it was really, really good. Like I said, I really love that he's, exposing many of NASCAR's coolest and most unique stories to an all-new audience. Like I said, Emp Lemon was not a NASCAR YouTuber until like last year. He was a much more widespread mass appeal, covered memes and everything else, everything but NASCAR it seemed. And now he's introducing great NASCAR stories to his more casual fan audience. So I think that's great. I love what he's doing. I hope he keeps doing it because his videos are very well edited. His writing, oh man, the writing in that Talladega video, I'll say, was incredible. He kept referencing the history of the natives that used to live where Talladega Superspeedway sits now, several hundred years ago, how they were forced to relocate, of course, and all the different things, and how it came full circle. The final 3 minutes of that video, when he's talking about Brad Keselowski's win in 2009, goodness gracious, I wondered the whole video, where are all these, he kept kind of bouncing back and forth, where are these, references to the past native tribes and stuff, where are these going? Is there going to be a payoff at the end? And oh man, I totally forgot that Keselowski's win was with the Mikosuke car, the 09, and the reference he made, because it was Newman in the Army car, and I think was it Junior or somebody in the National Guard car or something in third and fourth, chasing him, but not able to catch. I was like, that's pretty cool the way it, as he says, came full circle at the end. So I thought it was really cool. Eric, say a swear word. Just did it. Thank you, Dale3 Life. Appreciate the super chat. Cool profile picture. Thank you, KB Fan 18. I liked all the pink schemes today. We saw a few. I thought Jeremy Clements had a pretty cool pink trim on his typical 51 look. But yeah, there's some other pink cars as well. Not tomorrow. Next week in the Cup race, we'll see all the pink window nets on the Cup cars. That'll stand out. That'll be something else. Thank you, Santa Claus. Race sucked. It's on the naughty list. It's still light. Oh, Santa must have, maybe Santa had sunglasses on or something. I don't know. But thank you, Santa. Man, a lot of super chats. I really appreciate the super chat. Really appreciate the support, you guys. But yeah, no, the Emp Lemon video was very, very good. Thank you, Bastian Campbell. Well, what's up, Eric? In my opinion, Ty Gibbs is not a nice person. And also, how are you doing today? What a super chat. I'm doing great. I hope you're doing fine as well. Ty Gibbs is not a nice person. I've only had a few conversations with Ty Gibbs, but he seems very friendly, very genuine. I think he's a very emotional athlete, very emotional competitor sometimes. I've criticized some of the things he said in the heat of the moment or right after the heat of the moment, things he said about stuff that's happened on the racetrack. I've disagreed with some of his assessments in those examples, but I don't. Ty, he's a young guy. He's what, 19, 18, 19, he's 19 years old, I think. I think he's solid. He's fine. I've had only positive interactions with him. Thank you, Mindstorm10. I appreciate the super chat. NASCAR should make more doubleheader weekends for fans across ARCA and the other 3 series. Less downtime for fans who get to the track early enough. I do like doubleheaders. I like things like today where you have trucks and Xfinity back-to-back. We've seen ARCA do it in the past as well. I like some of the doubleheaders like that when they schedule them, with enough enough of a buffer, I suppose, when it comes to the TV windows and daylight. So I like doubleheaders. I like when ARCA's involved as well. The more racing on the week during the weekend, the better. Makes camping out more valuable. Makes traveling to the race for the weekend more valuable. So anything that adds value to your ticket. That's why I'm also a fan of NASCAR IndyCar doubleheaders. That's why I went to Indianapolis this year, because I wanted to see both races. I mean, I was paying for a flight to Indianapolis, paying for a hotel for a couple of nights. I wanted to see multiple racing, different series, multiple races, different series. I wanted to see that. So I love any of those opportunities. I think those are always good. Catching back up. Santa Claus again. Thanks, Boo, Karen, Harvick, Boo, LJHDCEADDH. Who are these people? LJ. Who's LJ? Loey Jagano. I don't know who's LJ. HD is Haley Deegan. CE Chase Elliott probably. I don't know who else. AD, is that Austin Dillon? DH Denny Hamlin, Daniel Hemrick. I'm having to decipher Santa Claus's super chat here. I'm not really sure what's going on. Thank you, Alan. I saw that I retracted the super chat. I don't know if he deleted it or if somebody else deleted it. I guess he must have deleted it. I did see some of what it was about before it was deleted. I guess we disagree on the origins of the Chase Elliott Kevin Harvick controversy. I think Harvick was the main aggressor in that initial move at Bristol that cut Elliott's tire down. Elliott was aggressive going 3 wide through the middle, but to me, I think Harvick's the one who changed his lane. He committed to sliding from the bottom to the top, whether or not Chase Elliott was going to still be on his outside or not. And I think if you're going to commit to making that kind of aggressive move, you're more responsible for the result, for the end result. And the end result was Chase Elliott having a tire get cut down. That's just my take. But I've heard, believe me, saw a lot of disagreements in my comment section earlier this week or last week whenever I did that video. So I've heard the alternate perspective, absolutely. And I think there's definitely merit to, at least some merit to a lot of these other arguments. Truck ending was a banger. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Luke O. Ty Gibbs is an abysmal human being. Good races today, though. Good. These super chat. I didn't realize Ty Gibbs had so many haters. What has he done? Have I missed something? He's a kid, or he was a kid until like this year. Now I guess he's old enough to vote, so I guess now he's technically not a kid anymore. Like I said, I think some of his emotions on the racetrack are not always justified, and I've criticized some of his methods there, but but I don't think he's a bad person. Goodness gracious. I think he's just trying to do his best out there, man. Thank you, Dr. Shrek. I appreciate that for the $6.69 super chat. Very, very nice. Eric, what is your opinion on bread? Also, what is your favorite paint scheme this season so far? Favorite paint scheme this season is Alex Bowman's Nashville Ally car. Close second, though, is the Sunny D car, but more specifically, the Sunny D car that we're going to see on track tomorrow. Have y'all seen this? It looks kind of like this in the front, but going back, it becomes more like yellow. I can't remember who's the sponsor. Kroger's involved with it as well, but it has like a yellow rear. I think it looks really cool. As for my opinion on bread, it's pretty good. I went to Olive Garden the other day and ate like 4 of those free breadsticks they give you. They're not even good, but they're free, so I stuff myself with them. I'm disgusting. But bread is cool. Thank you, James. Appreciate the super chat. The new Miami F1 track is interested in hosting IndyCar and NASCAR if schedules permit it, apparently. I talked about that some of my video this morning. Yeah, I think, logistically, I think it will be very difficult for NASCAR to ever race the same weekend or even the same week as Formula One, like on the same track and stuff. But if somehow they were able to make it work, move some things, alter some schedules, like maybe some of Formula One's typical, procedures, I guess, if they alter some of those to fit NASCAR in, I think that would be really, really cool. But I don't know if that's even logistically possible. But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it as long as it doesn't come at the expense of a race at Homestead Miami Speedway. I want to see Homestead Miami Speedway stay on the schedule for the foreseeable future. But if NASCAR can find a way to tag team a track with F1 the same week, I think that's a win for NASCAR. NASCAR officials should be willing to explore it. That's all I should say. Thank you, KB Fan 18. Do you remember the 2017 Fall Talladega race? There were like 13 cars left at the end. Yes, I do remember that one. I remember I was on a student film shoot. I was in college, and I was watching the end of that race on my laptop. I think we were on a break or we were between scenes or something, so I was trying to keep up. And I remember turning on my laptop after having not watched for like an hour, and I turned on like right before one of the final restarts, and I'm like, bro, there's like 10 cars left. And then I think there was a wreck where like Suarez either turned somebody or got turned. It was, I think, Chase Elliott involved. I think Trevor Bayne snuck through it or was also in it. Dale Jr. in that Mountain Dew car was still surviving. I think he finished like 4th or 5th at the end. Like I was just like, oh my goodness, this is getting crazy. So I vividly remember watching the end of that one. That was a crash fest, and it was a very different rules package than what we have today. So it kind of just goes to show you, rules package affects the racing and affects the number of crashes, sure, but it's not the only thing. It is absolutely not the only thing. They crash no matter what kind of cars they seem to be driving at these tracks. Thanks, Santa Claus. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Sif. Will Logano make his world famous block tomorrow? I think he'll block at some point, and I think good chance he he makes it work, more or less. But he might not. Obviously, might not. Could get ugly. And thanks again, Alan. Using a lap down car for a pick is a move I've seen all my life. Chase has done it before. All right, well, I did point out Chase has made mistakes at Bristol. In my defense, I point out that Chase Elliott has made mistakes at Bristol, especially in the past. I think also my counter argument will be driving in 3 wide at a track like Bristol where you can manage 3 wide pretty well with the way it's currently configured. I'll also argue that that's a move I've seen all of my life. So I'll counter with that. Thanks, Dr. Shrek. Agreed about the bread. I'm glad you agree about Olive Garden breadsticks. Yeah, they're not very good, but they are free, and anything that's free tastes just a little bit better. Just a little bit better. Hey, Eric, please answer me the best Talladega race ever. Ooh. Well, going back to that Emp Lemon video, we know. Well, actually, going back to that Slap Shoes video, we know what the worst, arguably the worst Talladega race ever is. Best Talladega race. I mean, a lot of Talladega and Daytona is the same way. A lot of their races, you come down to the finish. I think people remember the finishes a lot. But I thought like 2020, last year, I thought the race in the summer, I think it was in June, whenever that race was, the first Talladega race last year was incredibly entertaining throughout. It was a fantastic race from start to finish. I thought that was maybe the best Talladega race I'd ever seen. Just as they never trained. They were 2 and 3 wide the whole time. There weren't really... I don't remember there being any big wrecks. There was the wreck at the finish. You had like Almirola sliding, Jones wedged into the wall, and it was Stenhouse trying to catch Blaney at the end. Like you had a little bit of a wreck at the finish. You had some incidents late, but it was really great racing, I thought, throughout. So I know it's maybe recency bias there. You go back in the day, there's so many great Talladega moments and finishes. It's hard for me to remember a complete race. Obviously, watching Dale Earnhardt carve the field up in 2000 was some of the most incredible, probably the most incredible 2 laps of plate racing I've ever seen, by an individual at least. So it's had so many great moments. It's tough to say best, but I just remember people seemed to sleep on the spring 2020 race last year. It was good. It was very good. 2017 race? Were we talking about the fall or the spring race? What happened in the spring? Oh, the spring race. Oh, I remember the spring race. Wait. Making sure I get the right year right. No, I was thinking of 2018. Yeah, 2017. Thank you, Mindstorm10. Fans want track time, not downtime. Ty is too cocky. We're limited on words abbreviations. Yes, I paid another $5 to say that, but you're worth it. Well, thank you, Mindstorm. Yeah, I can see Ty Gibbs comes off as maybe a little full of himself. He's very confident. I'm with you there, and I think I've criticized some of his comments he's made, like about the move Allmendinger put on him at Mid-Ohio. I thought he was a little out of line with those comments. I think some of his run-ins with Corey Haim on the track have been ill-advised, so he definitely comes off maybe as a little overconfident sometimes. But when you roll up into the Xfinity Series and win in your first ever start, I think you're allowed to be a little confident. You're allowed a little ego, just a little bit. It keeps things interesting, keep things something. But I'm with you. Fans want track time, not downtime. I'm with you there. I think the more racing during the weekend, the better. Which is why, weekends where we don't have 4 series racing on the same track, I'd like to see a little more practice and qualifying. So at least there's cars on track. They're not, at least, they may not be, really racing, especially in practice, but at least there's action on the track. There's sort of gamesmanship being played, teams working on stuff. It's interesting to keep an eye on the leaderboard, who fires off good, who unloads the best, and then, half an hour into practice, who's atop the leaderboard then? Has anybody made any miraculous adjustments? You just never know. Thank you, Wade. I appreciate the super chat. Is Truex still your favorite for the championship? Yeah, I'm riding with Truex still. I think I'm very confident in all of Joe Gibbs Racing right now. I think coming into the playoffs, if I remember correctly, my championship 4 predictions were, in no particular order, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, Kyle Busch. I think those are my championship 4 picks at the beginning of the playoffs. I'm sticking with that, except I'd replace Kyle Busch with Denny Hamlin. I think if I were to redo my championship 4 now, we're almost halfway through the playoffs, the only change I'd make is swapping Hamlin in for Kyle Busch, because Kyle Busch has been good. I think he's like 3rd in the points right now. He's got a good cushion right now going into this weekend's race, but I just feel like I feel like he's a little not distracted, but he seems just kind of easily rattled, if that makes any sense. I go back to Vegas, stage 1. oh, car's a little too tight, it's killed. Just kind of that typical Kyle Busch sort of moodiness on the radio. He still came back to finish in the top 5 with a killed race car. I know he's just saying things, and maybe that's how he motivates himself, but I don't like hearing it all the time. I didn't like some of the things, the way he was sort of reacting in, stage, or was it Darlington? Of course, he started the playoffs off, spun out and kind of tore through the garage a little bit. Got a fine. I just feel like he started the playoffs off kind of in a little bit of a mood. And so I'm not sure I'm feeling Kyle Busch as much as I'm feeling Hamlin at the moment. Hamlin's won 2 of the first 4 races. I feel pretty good about Denny. But yeah. Well, we're closing in, or we might just hit the hour mark of the stream. So we'll start to wrap things up. I usually like to keep these post-race reaction streams to about an hour. And I feel like we've covered most of the big topics today. We talked about, of course, 2 first-time winners, Tate Fogelman in the trucks, and Brandon Brown. We didn't really talk enough about Brandon Brown. I thought it was interesting. If you haven't seen it, I know it wasn't on TV, but Tate Fogelman's interview was posted on Twitter, on social media after the race. The difference between Tate Fogelman winning his first NASCAR race and Brandon Brown winning his first NASCAR race, night and day. I understand Fogelman, he just wrecked his truck, and maybe he felt kind of bad about getting into John Hunter Nemechek, and he had just been in the ambulance, and so he had some time to think about it. It wasn't right in the moment so much, but Tate Fogelman during his interview was, oh yeah, I'm just really happy for my guys. We got in the right position and we won the race. Really cool. I'm happy about it. Versus Brandon Brown, whoa, yeah, whoa. The difference between the two was night and day. I thought that was kind of, I don't know, just an observation. I don't know. It doesn't really say anything about it. It really just tells you how hard Brandon Brown has worked for this. Brandon built, been around for a long, long time. And pretty cool. They made the playoffs last year. Didn't make the playoffs this year, which is a bummer. But gosh, winning a race, I'm sure that feels really, really good. Especially at a place like Talladega. That's stupendous. I thought it was really cool at the end of this race. My boy Jordan Anderson in the 31, who's had a couple of near misses at Daytona, just Daytona, not Talladega, but he's finished second at Daytona twice. He's been good at super speedways in the past. I thought it was pretty cool that he was on the inside, sort of pushing Brandon Brown. Yeah, they had like Cindric and a few other good cars behind them helping push that inside line, but leading the inside lane in those final few laps was Brandon Brown and Jordan Anderson. And on the outside, shuffling it up and trying to get speed was, Allgaier, Brandon Jones, Harrison, there's whoever it was, Hemrick, there's another Gibbs car up there. I don't remember who at that point. But the fact that it was Joe Gibbs and Junior Motorsports cars on the outside, and it was Brandon Brown and Jordan Anderson on the inside, and the inside lane ends up getting the trophy. I think that's pretty cool. Pretty awesome way to finish. Thanks to Dom Goblin. Hi, Eric. Hope my super chats go to sponsorships. Well, definitely. I'm putting that in my future NASCAR sponsorship piggy bank as we speak. We'll see when. I'm not gonna say if, but I'll say when. I'll say when we get another chance to support a NASCAR race team. I'd love to do that again. I thought that was really cool. I mean, it was cool for me to see personally, and I really appreciated the great response on social media, all the comments you guys sent. I really, really did appreciate it. That was a really fun week. Even though the car ended up getting caught up in a wreck, it was a really cool week, and I really appreciate that. And I'm glad so many of y'all seem to enjoy seeing the Out of the Groove logo on a real car as well. So hopefully we can do something cool like that again. If not this year, probably next year. That'd be cool if we can do something neat. Eric, you should start a cup team. I mean, I assume you're just memeing, but my goodness, that would be expensive. It'd take more than a few more super chats to make that happen. Goodness gracious. You hear how much charters are going for these days? Like $10 million? Thanks, Mindstorm. Appreciate the super chats, you guys. ARCA is lonely a lot. NASCAR would be better off running them with one of the 3 to give them a better spotlight. Also, big congrats to Tate and Brandon Brown. Absolutely. I think ARCA should try to team up with more NASCAR Xfinity Cup or truck weekends. How many do they only have a few a year. Usually spring Talladega, obviously Daytona at the beginning of the season. Pocono, aren't they usually there around the same time the rest of NASCAR is at Pocono? Bristol they were recently, so it's good when they do it, but I think they could do it a little bit more. It'd be better for that series. And thank you, Sif. Open a P.O. box. I want to mail you stuff. I've had a P.O. box in the past. I shut it down a couple months ago, but maybe in the future we'll do it again. That was also a really fun time. I'm glad so many people took advantage of it and enjoyed contributing to the Show and Tell Tuesday segment of the show. That was a lot of fun for me. And I'm glad it seemed to be a lot of fun for you guys as well. I appreciate the enthusiasm. And on that note, thank you all so much for watching this stream. I'll be back tomorrow night, not live, not with a live stream, but with an Out of the Groove post-race recap talking about the Talladega Cup Series race, the second race of the round of 12. If you missed the NASCAR Weekly podcast on my channel earlier this Wednesday, I'm going with Brad Keselowski to get the win. I think Penske will be tough to beat, as they often are at these tracks, but I think Brad Keselowski pulls off the Talladega season sweep and kind of as an upset. I think it'd be kind of surprising if Keselowski, with the year he's had, makes the round of 8, but he's a championship driver. He's more than capable of doing it, so he's my pick tomorrow. Let me know who you guys have down below. I'm checking out the chat. I've seen some of you guys talking. A lot of y'all talking about Matt DiBenedetto pulling off the upset, make it 3 first-time winners in the same weekend. That'd be pretty cool. But keep leaving your comments and tweet at me during the race, all that great stuff. I love interacting with y'all while the race is happening on TV. Those of you who are going to be at Talladega, I hope y'all have a good time tomorrow. It should be fun. Hopefully the weather cooperates. I've been keeping close tabs on the radar. It's been in flux most of today, but last I checked, it didn't look great. It was like a 60 to 70% chance of rain around the time the race was supposed to start. So hopefully, everyone turns on their hair dryers and just points them at the sky and pushes the clouds away. Maybe we can make something happen. But hopefully it stays dry. Hopefully we get the race in tomorrow. Thanks for watching, y'all. Really appreciate the support. Thank you all for commenting. Thank you so much for the super chats. And we'll be back tomorrow night with our Out of the Groove post-race recap. Thanks for the support, y'all. Catch you next time. Oh, never mind. My buttons were gone. Catch you next time. Take 2. Catch you next time. Here we go. All right. See you guys.